The Arizona heat was merciless, a weight that pressed against my chest and scorched my throat with every breath. I'd come to this nowhere town after losing my job in Phoenix, chasing whispers of work at a place called the Arizona Saloon. My savings were gone, my car was on its last tank, and the promise of a paycheck was all I had left. The saloon sat off a lonely highway, a weathered wooden building that looked like it had been standing since the gold rush. Its neon sign flickered, Arizona Saloon, buzzing like a dying insect. Inside, the air was cool, not from any machine, but like the chill of a forgotten cave. The scent hit me first. Whiskey, dry wood, and a faint metallic tang, like blood on old iron. The place was nearly empty, save for an old man at the bar's far end, his gnarled hands clutching an empty glass. His eyes tracked me as I stepped inside, sharp and unblinking, looking for work. The voice came from behind the counter. The man was lean, with graying hair and a face carved by years of desert sun. His name tag read Cole. "Yeah," I said, my voice quieter than I meant. "Heard you're hiring." Cole's smile was slow, deliberate, like he'd practiced it in a mirror. "You heard right. I'm Cole. You'll work nights. Tips are decent. The regulars, they keep to themselves. Just follow the rules and you'll be fine." He slid a piece of yellowed paper across the counter. At the top, in jagged handwriting, it read, "Rules for night staff." 7 rules followed. The bar opens at 7 p.m. Never open early. Never close late. If someone orders a drink you don't recognize, make it anyway. Don't ask questions. The man in the black hat sits at the corner table after midnight. Don't speak to him. If the jukebox plays on its own, let it finish. Do not unplug it. Never enter the back storage room after 1 a.m. If you hear knocking from the basement, don't answer. Before locking up, say goodnight out loud, even if you're alone. I chuckled, thinking it was some quirky local tradition. Cole didn't laugh. His eyes held mine, unyielding. Follow them. Every single one. I started that night. The first few hours were uneventful. Locals trickled in, truckers with sunburned necks, drifters with haunted eyes, a few ranch hands nursing beers. The saloon felt alive in its own way. Amber lights glinting off dusty bottles, the ceiling fan humming over twangy country tunes. By 11 p.m. the crowd thinned. By 11:30 it was just me and the old man from earlier still at the bar. "You knew?" he asked, his voice gravelly, like he'd smoked his way through a lifetime. "First night," I said, wiping a glass to keep my hands busy. He nodded, staring at the shelves behind me. "Follow the rules, kid. They're not for show." He downed his bourbon and left without another word. The air shifted after he left, thicker, heavier, like the saloon was holding its breath. Then the jukebox kicked on. No one had touched it. The song wasn't country or anything I could place. Just a woman's voice, low and mournful, singing a melody that felt older than the desert itself. The lights on the jukebox pulsed in time with the notes, and the floorboards creaked, as if someone were pacing behind me. I turned, but the room was empty. The song stopped abruptly. Silence swallowed the saloon. The clock read 12:03 a.m. That's when I saw him, the man in the black hat. He sat at the corner table, his wide-brimmed hat casting his face in shadow. His coat was too dark, too heavy for the Arizona heat. He didn't move, didn't order, didn't even look up. Just sat there, still as death. Rule number 3 burned in my mind, don't speak to him. I didn't. At 1 a.m. I started cleaning, avoiding that corner. Every time I turned away, I felt his presence, like fingers brushing the back of my neck. I reached for a crate in the back storage room, then froze. Rule number 5, never go in after 1 a.m. My hand was already on the handle. From inside came a slow, deliberate scratching, nails dragging across wood. I backed away, heart pounding. At 1:47 a.m., the knocking started. 3 soft thumps from below the floorboards. A pause, then 2 more. Rule number 6, don't answer. My mouth went dry. It's just pipes, I whispered. But the vibrations under my feet felt alive, intentional. By 2 a.m., the knocking stopped. The man in the hat was gone. The jukebox was silent. The saloon exhaled. Before locking up, I flicked off the lights and said, "Good night." The word felt foolish in the empty room. "Good night," a soft voice whispered back from the bar. I ran. The next morning, I told Cole everything. He leaned against the counter, unfazed. "You did good, Sam. That means you're welcome here now." "Welcome?" I asked, my voice tight. "By who?" he just smiled and walked away. That night I returned. The rules weren't a joke anymore. By my third week, I'd stopped questioning. I worked the bar, kept my head down. The regulars spoke in riddles, tales of highways that vanished by dawn, towns where the dead wandered under starlight. The jukebox played more often, always that same woman's voice, her melody weaving through my dreams. One night at 12:15 a.m., the door swung open. I'd locked it, I was sure. Hot desert wind swept in, carrying sand that glittered like glass. A man stepped inside. His clothes were tattered, caked in dust, his skin pale as bone. He moved to the counter, eyes fixed on the floor. "Whiskey," he said, his voice distant, like it echoed from a canyon. I poured it. He didn't touch the glass, just stared into it. After a long silence, he spoke again. "Do you know what this place is?" I stayed quiet, gripping the rag in my hand. "It's a border," he said, his lips barely moving. "Between what's here and what's not. Some cross through, some get stuck." "Stuck how?" I asked, breaking my own rule to stay silent. He smiled, thin and cold. "You'll see." He left a coin on the counter, old, not American, etched with symbols like no language I'd ever seen. It was freezing to the touch. At 12:59 a.m., the jukebox roared to life, the woman's voice frantic now, the melody jagged and desperate. The lights flickered. I turned, and the man in the black hat was back, but not alone. Across from him sat a woman, her long black hair hiding her face. Her hands rested on the table, skin cracked like parched earth. She whispered, words I couldn't hear but felt crawling inside my skull, sharp, like thorns. The air grew cold, heavy with the smell of damp soil. Knocking echoed, not just from the basement now, but from the walls, the ceiling, everywhere. The lights died. In the darkness, my heartbeat was deafening. Footsteps sounded from the storage room, slow, wet, deliberate. Something brushed my arm, cold and slick, like a hand pulled from a grave. I bolted for the door, bursting into the desert night. The moon hung low, too large, the horizon bending unnaturally. Shadows twisted against the sand, moving without a source. When I looked back, the saloon was dark, its neon sign dead. I went back at dawn, needing answers. The saloon looked wrong, boarded up, covered in dust, like it hadn't been touched in decades. Cole was gone. No one was there, but nailed to the door was the same yellowed paper with the rules. A new line had been added in red ink. Once you work here, the saloon never lets you go. I drove away, swearing I'd never return. But the coin still sits in my pocket, cold as ever. At night, I hear the jukebox's melody in the wind. And sometimes, under my floorboards, there's knocking. 3 soft thumps, a pause, then 2 more. Last week, I found a job listing online. The Arizona Saloon is hiring again. My name was already on the schedule.